Have you ever made a big, brave decision for love? A choice to change your whole life for another person. You trust them with your future. You give them your whole heart. But what happens when that trust is broken in the most public and painful way? This is a story about a moment like that. A moment when my world fell apart in the middle of a crowded airport. And it is also a story about how, in our darkest moments, help can come from the most unexpected person. Have you ever been shown kindness by a stranger when you needed it most? I would love to read your story in the comments. My name is Ella, and my story starts with a new beginning that was also a terrible end. For a year, I was in a long-distance relationship with a man named David. He lived in a big, exciting city hundreds of miles away, and I lived in my small, quiet hometown. We were so in love, or so I thought. We talked on the phone every night. He would tell me, "Ella, I miss you so much. I want you to be here with me." So, we made a plan. I was going to move to his city. It was a huge decision. I had to quit my job, say goodbye to my friends and my family, and pack my entire life into 2 big suitcases. It was scary, but I was so excited. I was finally going to be with the man I loved. Our real life together was about to begin. David helped me find a new job in his city. It was at a big company where he had a friend. I had a few interviews on the phone with my new boss, a man named Mr. Carter. He sounded very serious and professional. I was a little intimidated by him, but I was so grateful for the opportunity. Everything was perfect. I had a new job, a new city, and the man I loved waiting for me. The day I moved, my heart was a mix of a sad goodbye and a happy hello. I cried when I said goodbye to my parents, but on the long airplane ride, I was full of a happy, nervous excitement. I imagined David waiting for me at the airport with flowers and a big smile. I imagined our new life, our new apartment, our new beginning. When the plane landed, I was so excited I could barely stand still. I got my 2 big suitcases, my whole life packed inside them. I walked out into the arrivals area, my eyes searching the crowd for his face. And then I saw him. David. But he was not smiling. He was not holding flowers. He was just standing there, his face cold and distant. My happy heart immediately filled with a cold fear. I walked up to him. "David?" I said. "Is everything okay?" He did not hug me. He did not kiss me. He did not even touch my arm. He just looked at me with empty eyes. "Ella," he said, his voice flat. "I can't do this." I did not understand. "Can't do what?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Us," he said. "You. Moving here. It's too much. I have changed my mind." The words did not feel real. This was not happening. "Changed your mind?" I whispered. "But I am here. I left everything for you. Our whole life is in these 2 suitcases. I started to cry. People in the busy airport were walking past, looking at us. I felt so stupid, so small. "Please, David," I begged, "don't do this." He just shook his head, his face full of a cold annoyance. He just wanted to leave. He just wanted this difficult situation to be over. "Just go home, Ella," he said, his voice getting louder. "It's over. I made a mistake." He turned to walk away. I reached for his arm. "But where will I go?" I cried. He pulled his arm away and looked at me with a terrible, cruel expression. "I don't care," he said, his voice like a slap. "No one wants you here." And then he was gone. He walked away and disappeared into the crowd. He left me standing there, alone, in a strange, new city, with my 2 suitcases and a completely broken heart. His words, "No one wants you here," echoed in my head. I was completely and totally alone. I fell onto a nearby bench, and I put my head in my hands, sobbing. A moment later, I heard a quiet, professional voice. "Excuse me? Ella?" I looked up, my eyes full of tears. It was a man in a business suit. He looked familiar, but I could not place him. He had a kind, concerned look on his face. "Are you Ella Green?" he asked. I nodded, confused. "I am Arthur Carter," he said. "Your new boss. I was on the same flight as you. Are you all right? You look like you are in trouble." I looked up at the man in the business suit, my mind a complete blur of shock and sadness. Mr. Carter, my new boss. Of all the people in the world, it was him. It was the worst possible situation. He was seeing me at the lowest moment of my life. I was a crying, broken mess. I was so embarrassed. My face felt hot. I tried to speak, to explain, but all that came out was another sob. My boyfriend," I managed to whisper. He left." Mr. Carter's professional, serious face immediately softened. He looked at my 2 large suitcases. He looked at my tear-streaked face, and he understood everything. He did not ask a lot of questions. He did not make me feel stupid or small. He just became a very calm, very kind person. "Okay, Ella," he said, his voice quiet and steady. "The first thing we are going to do is get you out of this airport. You cannot stay here." He helped me with my heavy suitcases. He led me outside and he got a taxi. I just followed him, like a lost child. I did not know what else to do. In the taxi he said, "We will find you a safe place for tonight." He was so respectful. He did not ask for the whole story. He just saw a person who needed help, and he was helping. He took me to a nice, clean hotel near the company's office. He walked with me to the front desk. He took out his own credit card. "A room for Ms. Green, for 3 nights, he told the receptionist. I started to protest. "Oh no, Mr. Carter, I can't let you do that." He turned to me and gave me a small, kind smile. "This is a company expense," he said. "We are taking care of a new employee who has had a difficult travel day, that is all." He made it feel professional. He made it feel okay for me to accept his help. He helped me take my bags up to my room. It was a simple, quiet, and safe room. Before he left, he turned to me at the door. He looked at me with his kind, serious eyes. "Ella," he said, "I do not know what that man said to you, but I want you to know that he was wrong. We want you here. I hired you because you were the best person for the job. You are smart, and you are talented. The job is still yours. It starts on Monday if you want it." His words were like a light in my dark, sad heart. David had told me, "No one wants you here." He had made me feel so worthless, so unwanted. But Mr. Carter, my new boss, a man I had only ever spoken to on the phone, he had told me the exact opposite. He told me I was wanted. I was valued. He did not see a broken-hearted girl. He saw a professional. He saw me. After he left, I was alone in the quiet hotel room. The pain of David's betrayal was still there. It was a huge, deep wound. I cried for the love I thought I had, and for the future I had lost. But I was not crying because I was worthless. I was not crying because I was unwanted. I was crying because my heart was broken. But I knew for the first time that my life was not. I had a job. I had a safe place to sleep. And I had a choice. I could take a plane back to my old, familiar life. Or I could stay. I could stay and build a new life. A life that was just for me. And as I looked out the window at the new, strange city, it did not seem so scary anymore. I spent the weekend in the quiet safety of the hotel room. It was a time of many tears. I cried for the man I thought I loved. I cried for the future I thought I was going to have. And I cried for the stupid, hopeful girl who had packed her whole life into 2 suitcases for a boy who did not want her. But in the quiet moments between the tears, I also felt a small new feeling. It was the feeling of a quiet, steady strength. It came from Mr. Carter's words. "We want you here." On Monday morning, I was terrified, but I got up. I put on my most professional clothes. I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were a little red, but my back was straight, and I went to my new job. The office was big, modern, and intimidating. I felt so small and so new. I was sure that everyone could see the heartbreak on my face. I was so afraid that David's friend would be there, that everyone would know my sad, humiliating story. But my new boss, Mr. Carter, was a true professional. He greeted me with a polite, welcoming smile. He did not mention the airport at all. It was like it had never happened. He introduced me to my new team. "This is Ella Green," he said. "She is a very talented addition to our company, and I know you will all make her feel welcome." He treated me with so much respect. He did not treat me like a victim, like a poor, broken girl. He treated me like a professional. And because he did, everyone else did too. He gave me my first project, and I put all my energy into it. My work became my safe place. It was a place where I was not the girl who was left at the airport. I was Ella, the smart, capable project manager. I worked so hard. I stayed late. I focused on every detail. I was not just doing it for the company. I was doing it for me. I was proving to myself that I was not worthless. I was proving that David's cruel words were a lie. I found a small, simple apartment to rent. It was not the big, fancy apartment David had promised me, but it was mine. I paid for it with my own money. Every evening I would come home to my own, quiet, safe space. The loneliness was still there. The evenings were the hardest. But now, I had my work. I had a purpose. I was building a life, a real life, on my own 2 feet. A few weeks after I started, we had a big team meeting. We were talking about a difficult problem. I was so nervous, but I had an idea. I waited for a quiet moment, and I shared it with the team. When I was finished, the room was silent. I was sure I had said something stupid. But then, Mr. Carter looked at me from the other end of the table. "That is an excellent idea, Ella," he said, his voice full of a genuine respect. "A very smart solution. Let's do that." In that moment, sitting in that big, important meeting, I felt a new confidence. I was good at this. I belonged here. Later that day, Mr. Carter stopped by my desk. "You are doing very well, Ella," he said quietly. "I am very glad you decided to stay." I looked up at him, at this kind, serious man who had saved me without even knowing it. "Thank you, Mr. Carter," I said, "for everything, for the job, and for what you did at the airport." He just gave a small, kind nod. "We take care of our people," he said. "Welcome to the team." As he walked away, I felt a real, true smile on my face for the first time in a long time. The city that was the place of my greatest humiliation was slowly starting to feel like home. The weeks turned into months, and my small, new life started to grow. My work became my passion. I was good at my job, and people at the company noticed. Mr. Carter became more than just my boss. He became my mentor. He gave me challenging projects, and he trusted me to do them well. I was promoted after my first year. I was not the new, scared girl anymore. I was a respected and confident professional. I also started to build a life outside of work. I made friends. I explored my new city. I found a favorite coffee shop, a favorite park, a favorite bookstore. The city was not a place of heartbreak anymore. It was my home. A home that I had built for myself. The deep, constant pain of David's betrayal slowly faded. It became a scar, a part of my story, but it was not a wound that hurt every day. I was happy. It was a different kind of happiness than I had ever known. It was not a happiness that came from a man. It was a happiness that I had earned myself. One Saturday afternoon, about 2 years after I had arrived, I was in my favorite coffee shop with a friend. We were laughing and talking. And then, the door opened, and he walked in. David. He saw me. The surprise on his face was so clear. He just stood there for a moment staring at me. He was looking at a different woman. I was not the crying, broken girl he had left at the airport. I was a confident, smiling woman, with a good job and a happy life. He walked over to my table. My friend went to get us more coffee, to give us a moment. "Ella," he said. His voice was quiet. "You look wonderful." "I am," I said, and my voice was calm and steady. "I'm very happy here." He looked at the floor, his face full of a deep regret. "I was a fool, Ella," he said. "What I did to you at the airport was the worst mistake of my life. I was scared. I was stupid. I have thought about you every day." A few years ago, these were the words I would have dreamed of hearing. But now, they meant nothing. The love I had for him was completely gone. I looked at him, at this man who had broken my heart, and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness. Just a quiet, distant indifference. "I am sorry you felt that way," I said, and my voice was polite. "But I am not sorry it happened." He looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" he asked. I gave him a small, calm smile. "You were right about one thing," I said. "The life I planned with you was a mistake. But it was my mistake, not yours. I made my whole world about you. When you left, I had to build my own world for myself. And I love this life. So thank you." I stood up. "It was good to see you, David," I said. And then I turned and walked away, leaving him there. I walked out of the coffee shop and into the bright, sunny afternoon. His cruel words at the airport were, "No one wants you here." But he was so wrong. My boss wanted me. My new friends wanted me. And most importantly, I wanted me. I came to this city for a love story with a man. But I found something so much better. I found my own love story. The love story of a woman who was strong enough, brave enough, and good enough, all on her own. If this story about finding your own strength inspired you, please give this video a like. Have you ever had a bad experience that led to a good change in your life? Share your story in the comments. For more emotional English stories about empowerment and new beginnings, please be sure to follow our channel.